Hello, I am Esa Aldegheri, a Leverhulme Early Career Fellow at the University of Glasgow in Scotland and glad co-editor of this book, A Handbook of Integration with Refugees, Global Learnings from Scotland, together with Dan Fisher and Alison Phipps. In this book, we have gathered practical as well as theoretical learnings connected to refugee integration based on work happening here in Scotland. And with this book, we wanted to explicitly make these learnings relevant to a wide range of international contexts and access a great variety of audiences to broaden the conversation around refugee integration beyond what is currently quite a siloed situation of conversations between people who are scholars or government policymakers or third sector practitioners. And so it is wonderful that this book is published by Multilingual Matters and is open access, so that hopefully as many people as possible can engage with the knowledge that is in this book and then share their own knowledge, thus really broadening the conversation much more than otherwise would be possible. The nature of this book itself is such that it seeks to break out of the more traditional approaches to academic publishing and engage within its own pages in conversations across areas of expertise. Many of the contributions are from people who themselves have experience of forced displacement. And within the sections of the book, there are thematic sections, of course. There are, of course, academic chapters with diagrams and references, but there are also beautiful artworks, thanks to Adel Salmanzadeh and Carmel Aroha Salmanzadeh, whose work you see here on the cover. And it is throughout the book, the different sections of the book. And there are also interventions, what we have called interventions, in response in critical dialogue to the different academic chapters. These interventions take the shape of maps, artworks, photographs, poems, different languages, different formats, and they come from colleagues across the globe, from Palestine, from South Africa, from New Zealand, many other places. And they are from people who are scholars and also who are practitioners in other areas connected to refugee integration, teachers, people who make theatre, people who are interpreters and translators in courts. There is a wide variety of human thinking and of practical, grounded learning connected to refugee integration in this book. I'm delighted that it's open access, and I look forward to hearing your comments, your thoughts, your reactions, in the hope that the conversation may broaden as much as possible so that we find as many ways as possible to build sustainable integration with refugees across the world.
Stephan, Meyer, Elena Makarova, and I, Edina Krompák, are the editors of the Gold Open Access book, Advocacy in Translanguaging Education. This book examines translanguaging as a legitimate educational practice and contributes to a practical theory of the translanguaging of education. It includes research from diverse linguistic and educational settings from Africa, Europe, and North America. As researchers at a Swiss university, we can access boundless streams of knowledge. We can tap numerous publications because our institutions have contracts with publishers and journals. But not everyone has such free and easy access to knowledge, an essential public good. This is why, for us, Gold Open Access that makes publications freely accessible is indispensable for a socially just academic world. Knowledge should flow freely and for free. It should not be siphoned off into privileged institutions. Equity requires that everyone, regardless of their social and academic standing, can both contribute to knowledge and access it.
In addition to justice, open access is also sound research practice. The more widely we open our findings, the more widely can they be scrutinized, adapted, and adopted to various settings. And this unlimited testing and revising of arguments and evidence in global public spheres is essential to advance knowledge that serves equity.
With advocacy in translanguaging education, we pursue two goals of open access: justice and sound research. Open access means that all authors have equal opportunities for the recognition of their work. In addition, these findings flow into diverse settings where they can be critically assessed, adapted, and adopted.
In fact, the ideas behind open access tie in with our understanding of a practical theory. This applies to practical theories of language presented in the book, but equally to practical theories of education or of the economy. As we explain, for practical theory to be effective, it must be driven by unconstrained deliberative advocacy and grounded in evidence-based research. And to make our arguments more sound and our evidence more robust, they must be scrutinized across expanding and intersecting public spheres. And this is essentially the point of open access, that it facilitates equitable, critical, and creative collaboration among interdependent communities.
Our research is funded from public resources, so it is our responsibility to ensure that we foster equity in knowledge transfer and education. One way to do this is to make our findings easily accessible to other researchers, but also to policymakers, practitioners, and ordinary citizens. Beyond this, we urgently also need innovative models that extend the same opportunities to researchers and publishers in settings that lack the same type of public funding for open access. Because knowledge, like clean water, is a global public good that should flow in all directions to innovate people and ideas across the world.
The book Memory and New Ways of Knowing, Narratives of the Colombian Armed Conflict, o en español, Memorias y Nuevas Formas de Saber, Narrativas del Conflicto Armado Colombiano, is the result of the work of 9 authors, 7 Colombian authors, 1 English author, and 1 Italian author, including its editors, Teresa Lillis from the Open University, and myself, Blanca González, an independent Colombian researcher. In short, this work brings together analysis from journalism, literature, cultural, artistic, and political studies, focusing on the narratives of people from different regions and different ideological backgrounds who survived the last 3 decades of armed conflict in Colombia. The book also reflects on the importance of testimony and memory to recover non-hegemonic history and restore dignity to victims and survivors, while highlighting their willingness to embrace new lives and new ways of knowing, with a strong demand for no repetition of violence. The book is intended for an international audience, and publishing it in open access responds to a social and ethical responsibility. Issues of memory and conflict are not only academic. They directly affect communities, victims, and society at large. Open access honors the voices of those who share their testimonies and prevents the reproduction of exclusion and silencing. As we know, memory is a collective right and a common good. Open access ensures that affected communities, as well as those distant from the conflict, can read, discuss, and reinterpret this work. It also expands the social and political impact of the book, contributing to civic education, reconciliation, and public politics, and promoting the social appropriation of knowledge as a key step in peace building. Epistemological justice, we say. Open access also broadens readership beyond academia because educators, social leaders, journalists, and human rights defenders can learn from these narratives and methodologies in it. Moreover, it fosters equity in knowledge, since many people and institutions, especially in rural or under-resourced areas, cannot afford commercial publications. Finally, publishing in open access aligns with international trends promoted by UNESCO, the European Union, and national and local science and technology policies, ensuring wider dissemination and long-term preservation of the ideas and the books. We hope you find in this work countless possibilities to enrich diverse fields of knowledge and practice.